Hello and welcome to another AGK tutorial. This one is basically about scrolling and parallax scrolling, that sort of thing. It's fairly basic. A lot of people who use AGK or have used it for any amount of time will already know how to do this, but a lot of people ask about this sort of thing, and I'm struggling for ideas that are quick and simple to do as tutorials at the moment. So I thought I'd do this. This is one way. It's a very simple way. It's not probably the best way, but I'm going to show you this first. I'm going to do all the tutorials expanding and doing different ways to do scrolling, because there are many different ways of scrolling around, and this one's okay for certain types of games, more simplistic games really. But okay, let's get rid of this wizard did it. Right, I've already loaded the media that I need into the media folder. I think, yes, I definitely have. Right, okay, let's get started. Let's think what I'm doing. Right, let's set a virtual resolution. Yeah, just a basic one. Actually, have I doubt it. Let's change this as well. This is a setup file. If you're not aware, that's what sets the resolution that it actually runs in, and this is what it runs in within the window. So that should match. So let's just run that. Make sure we're all okay. God blimey. Close that. Yep, that looks fine. Okay. Right, let's get rid of this print hello world rubbish. Okay. First thing, let's make a sprite. So backdrop, we want IM because it's going to be an image, equals load image, and I've called it backdrop 1 PNG, I think. And obviously we want to make a sprite, so we'll make a sprite, backdrop SP for sprite, equals create sprite backdrop IM. Right, just in case you don't know what I'm doing there, this automatically generates an ID. It normally starts from about 10,000. Well, it always starts from 10,000. It saves you giving a name or an image number, I should say, an image ID in here. It's semi-automatic. It's sort of okay. Sometimes it can prove bothersome when you don't know exactly what numbers are being created, because it automatically makes the number, but you know it's going to be 10,000 and 10,001, blah 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 blah, and up from there. But it's just a simple way of doing this sort of thing. Right, so I've created a sprite using that backdrop image. Let's see if it has. It has. Whoa, look at those graphics. Whoa. My graphic skills are incredible. So let's just make sure it should be the right size, because I've done it the same size as the backdrop for now, but we'll make sure of it. And we want to be 640 by 480. That should make no difference whatsoever, because it's already that size. Okay, that's got something going there. Let's just put in the main loop. We'll call it xscroll hash equals xscroll hash plus 0.01 for now. It's probably going to be a bit quick. And we want to set sprite UV offset, and it's backdrop SP. Now, yeah, the UV offset needs to be, the first one is the X, so we'll use xscroll hash, and we don't want anything on the Y, so that's 0. So that should technically work. There we go. Oh, ooh, yucky yak. Of course I know what's causing that, and I've deliberately done that. Basically you're scrolling the UV of the sprite, which is the image. It's moving across and it's sort of already at the edge of the image and going, oh, what's all this rubbish? And it just basically just scrolls the last pixel across, so you get that horrible smearing effect. So what you want to do before you do all that lot is set default UV. Oh, no, it's not, it's wrap UV. In fact, just you. My memory. And 0 is off and 1 is on. So that will wrap the image. If I use 0, it should look pretty much the same. Let's just double check. Yep, exactly the same. Change it to 1 and it should loop. It's still jerky and horrible, but let's put a VSync in. Yeah, it's better like that. Okay, perhaps it's because I'm capturing. Right, but that's scrolling along, and you can see it's scrolling nicely, just with a couple of commands. Dead simple. Okay, next we want to add another sprite relay, I suppose. Just as a quick thing, let's just copy that, delete it, and put it here, just to show you it doesn't work. It's back like that. I'm assuming it's because you've set the sprite up that you're setting the default UV wrap afterwards, and it just doesn't affect that sprite. So always make sure you put it before you do any sprite work, and that will get it to work, because that could drive you nuts if you put it in the wrong order. There we go, it's back. Okay, so we want another sprite, so we'll call it backdrop 2. I think I called it 1B. In fact, I might as well just copy this because we're doing exactly the same. Just alter those, and that should work. And you'll need to put a set sprite offset for that. I'm going to make it a bit slower. This is where the parallax effect comes in. 0.8. Now this isn't going to work, I know that already, but we'll run it anyway. We'll see why it doesn't work. Okay, we've got the new image and it's completely overwriting the first one, which is not what we want. Now I could just set the depth, but I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to copy it, delete it, and just put it to the start. So it's sort of backwards. But basically when AGK makes a sprite, it sets the depth, and it sort of automatically sets the depth, so that should automatically get the depth right without me having to bother. And there we go. We got scrolling. It's a bit jittery for some reason. Perhaps that's just must be the recording on mine. And that's sort of slightly slower than that, but we're still going very fast. So I'm going to change that 0.1 to 0.001. Of course, I've multiplied that by 0.8 just to make it a bit slower than that one. Let's do another third layer. I'm going to be original, call it backdrop 3. What did I call this? 1C? I'm not entirely certain actually. Well, we'll try it. I'll put the offset for it in. And we make that 0.6, so it's a bit slower still. And let's see that crash, because I'm pretty certain it's not called that. Oh, it is called that, so there we go. Oh, my memory's better than I thought. So there we go, that's 3 layers. That's going the fastest, that's going a bit slower, and that's going a bit slower still. Doesn't look very immediately obvious at the minute for some reason. So let's just make that a bit 0.6 and 0.4. I'll slow down the background layers and give a bit more parallax effect. Still not massive. Let's just make it faster again. Now you can see it's sort of, you can see it working. You've got to play around with these values, get it right. There's definitely 3 different parallax layers at different speeds. Right, and that's virtually it. I'll just put a little bit of movement code. Call key state would help. Cripes. I think it's 39 for right. And we'll just put this in here, so it's not constantly scrolling. Right, now when I press right, hopefully it should go right. Yes. Just do the same. Put to minus, and I think it's 37 for left. There we go. As you can see, it's constantly scrolling, fairly seamless as my images can get, because obviously this is just one image being scrolled across indefinitely. Now the only problem of course is it's always the same image. As soon as this part here goes across to the left, it's going to come across to the right. So it's okay, it's good enough for some games. But you may want to sort of use a different technique for something like R-Type or whatever. You'd really need a different technique. You'd need more images than just these simple ones, but it gives you the basic idea of how to do it using Sprite Offset or UV Offset, which is pretty good, but it doesn't work on some mobile devices, or it didn't used to. It might be fixed now. I've not tried it, but it works fine on the PC. Another thing as well, my images are actually not Power 2 images. If I've run this on an Android or an iPhone, it would probably not work. You'd need to actually make your images Power 2, so that's 512 by 256 or 1024 by 512, 1024 by 1024, whatever, that sort of thing. 640 by 480 isn't the correct size really, but it works fine on a PC, so it'll do. And I think that's about all really. Yeah. Until I decide to do something a bit more advanced, which I probably will in the next tutorial. That's it. That's just using Sprite UVs. Next time we'll think about actually using sprites and multiple images, and that's more useful for a shoot 'em up or a platformer or that sort of thing. So until next time, catch you later. Oh, one last thing. Again, basically with this of course I am limiting the size to just the screen size, so I've made the sprite the same as the screen size, but if you wanted to, there's no reason why you couldn't make that bigger. So make it 1280 instead for the front one. Run that. And that basically will stretch that sprite across, so it's less obvious, it's definitely looping, and you can do that with all of them, obviously. You can obviously make your image to match, so you could make your image larger than the sprite, or larger than the screen, not the sprite, I should say, and get sort of a better effect. So now they're both stretched, well, they're all stretched, and it's not quite as obvious. You know, this right hand bit, this bit here, isn't looping quite as quick as it did before. It's not on screen, it's not on screen, it's back on screen. So you can play around with that as well, if you want just to use a basic image. And so there's no reason why you can't use, I mean, I'm using an image that's 640 across, but you could use an image that's 1280 across and scroll it and make sure it's bigger than the screen, and you can get away with, you know, doing a couple of screens worth there if you wanted, just using UV offset to scroll. Like I say, it's not ideal. It can be bettered. I mean, the best way really is tiles. Well, yeah, in my opinion it is anyway, but not everyone thinks the same. In modern days you can use big sprites, you know, and big sprites are what I'm going to go to next rather than tiles, because tiles can get a bit fiddly and finicky. But yep, definitely, until next time, catch you later.